Are you tired of feeling unsafe while riding your electric skateboard at night, especially while you're on the road with other vehicles? I used to be in the same boat until I discovered a game-changing solution. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Shred Lights, the ultimate night riding safety accessory. Stick around to the end to see the dramatic difference these lights can make and how they can transform your night riding experience. As someone who's been an electric skateboarder for over 2 years now, I know just how important safety is when you're riding, particularly at night when it's harder to see. Now, I've actually been using Shred Lights pretty much since I started electric skateboarding, but when I recently got my Evolve GTR, I reached out to Shred Lights and they were kind enough to send over their latest lights. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing my honest thoughts on the SL300s, the SLR1s, and of course the helmet light, the SL1000, including their design, functionality, and how they perform on the road at night. So if you're thinking about purchasing Shred Lights or you just want to know more about them, then keep watching to see whether or not they're worth the investment. So to start off, let's talk about the SL300s, which are your front lights for your electric skateboard. Now, if we just start off talking a little bit about the features of the 300s, one of the big improvements over the older SL200s is the USB charging port on top. The entire light itself is actually waterproof. You can submerge it into water up to 1 meter, I think, for 30 minutes, which is pretty cool. And it actually feels quite a bit more sturdy than the older SL200s as well. I think it's going to last quite a while. Now, these lights take about 2 hours to charge, and then the battery life, depending on the mode you're in, ranges from about 2 hours all the way up to 20 hours of battery life. So you probably won't have any issues running out of battery, especially if you don't use it on the brightest mode all the time, which isn't really recommended anyway because it's so bright. The low mode on these lights is 50 lumens, and then it goes up to 300 lumens at the brightest setting. And it's also got 3 different flash modes. And kind of the way I find I like to use them is I have one on a flash mode so that it's really noticeable for people in front of me, and then I have one just on a static light mode, usually something on the low or medium setting, because this way I've got a bit of visibility on the path in front of me all the time, but also got that flashing ability to let people know that I'm coming. Shred Lights sell all sorts of different brackets that you can attach to your skateboard. The ones I've got obviously attached to the top of my Evolve, so I can mount the lights on top, and it literally just clips in. It's super simple, slides in and clips, and then to get it off, you just pull the little tab down and slide it out, and that's it. You can take it off to charge. Now for me, there's definitely been plenty of times when I've been riding on the road and the cars in front of me have seen that I'm coming and moved out of the way. If I'm riding without lights, the cars don't always see me, especially when I'm riding in a bike path, which can be a bit sketchy if you come out behind a car and they're turning into you. So Shred Lights can make a huge difference in terms of when you're skating up behind cars so that they can see you coming. And to be honest, I really wouldn't recommend riding on a road at night without lights at all, which is why I genuinely recommend the SL300s. All right, so moving on to the SLR1s. Now these are the rear lights for electric skateboard, and they're red so that people behind you can see you in front of them. It's essentially the same way that brake lights or rear lights work on a car. Now these have pretty much the same design as the SL300s, with the same USB-C charging and the same overall look, as well as being waterproof. Now the R1, since they're the rear lights, they're not as bright. They range from 10 lumens at the lower setting and then 40 lumens on the high setting. This gives you a battery life of 6 hours to around 20 hours, but if you have it on the flash setting, then the battery life jumps to 40 to 60 hours plus, which is ages. So you definitely won't have to charge these anywhere near as often, especially if you've got them on the flash mode. Now again, I tend to have one just on a constant red and then one flashing, just so that people behind me can really clearly see me and make sure that they know that I'm there. I've definitely had experiences in the past where I've been down a kind of a dark side street and a car will turn in really quickly and start powering up the street. But because I've got these lights flashing behind me, the car sees me, slows down, and goes around carefully. Like, that's definitely happened to me quite a few times. It even happened to be just last night, actually. So I think it is really important to have both front and rear lights. Even if you just got one on either end, you don't have to have two. It's just a huge step up in terms of safety and being able to have cars see you. Now, one other really cool thing that I didn't mention with both the SL300 and the R1 is the fact that when you turn them off, it actually will glow a certain color depending on the battery life. Now, this is another huge upgrade from the SL200s because previously you couldn't really tell when the batteries were going flat, whereas now every time you turn them off, you've got a clear indication of whether or not you need to charge them or not. So if it glows green, then you know you've got 75% battery plus left. If it's orange, it's in the 25 to 75% range, so you probably need to keep an eye on it. And then if it glows red, then it needs charging. It's below 25% battery. Now, one thing I have noticed over the past couple of years of using Shred Lights is the fact that because you attach them to your skateboard, and the skateboard is inevitably really low to the ground. In some ways, it's not as ideal as having the light a bit higher. For example, like on bikes, you'll often have the lights on the handlebars and on the seat, so they're higher up and it's more visible. Well, Shredlights have thought of this and they've come up with a helmet light. And honestly, this thing is crazy. This is the SL1000. And the reason it's called the SL1000 is because it goes up to 1000 lumens in brightness. And I looked it up. I'm pretty sure the standard lumen range for actual car headlights is in the 1000 to 3000 range, maybe 4000. So this is pretty much as bright as a car headlight, which is insane. Now again, if we talk a bit about the specs to start, the charge time on the SL1000 is about 3.5 hours. So it takes a little bit longer to charge than the other two lights. And then from there, it's got 5 different brightness settings ranging from 50 lumens all the way up to the 1000 lumen max. Now this of course is going to mean that your battery life is going to range quite a bit. So at the lower end, you've got about 50 hours of battery life. And then when you've got it on the 1000 lumens setting, it'll last about an hour and a half. And on top of that, you've actually got 4 different burst modes. So the other two lights have got 3 light burst modes, whereas this has 4. And depending on the mode you're in, you can have up to 200 hours of battery life. Now it's also got the same waterproof rating as the other two lights, and also comes with a diffusion disc, which you can mount in front of the lens on the light, and this broadens the beam. So normally without the diffuser, it's kind of more of a spotlight, whereas with the diffuser, it just spreads the light out a bit broader and you can see more. Now, obviously the first and most obvious benefit of having a helmet light is that it's high up so that people in front of you can see you more clearly from a greater range. This again definitely enhances your safety. Using the skateboard lights is already a huge step up, but using a helmet light just takes it to a whole new level. Especially if you've got it on one of the flash modes, it can make it really obvious that you're coming for cars and other vehicles in front of you. Now, the other main benefit to having the helmet light is that it actually gives you a greater range of visibility in front of you, especially with the insane brightness that this light has. So if you're someone who rides off-road, goes off onto trails and stuff like that at night, then this light will honestly be a complete game changer, because it's literally like having a spotlight on the top of your head. It's actually so bright that it's actually not recommended to have it on the 1000 lumen setting if you're just riding on the road or with other pedestrians, because it's actually too bright. Like, it can temporarily blind people if they look directly at the light. So if you're riding on the road, keep it on the mid to low end of the brightness spectrum. But if you are going off road and there's not other people or other vehicles that could potentially get blinded, then bump it up to that 1000 lumen setting, and honestly, you've got visibility for days. Like you can see here, the difference between having the light on and having it off is just literally night and day. It's crazy. And the other cool kind of side benefit is that you can use it as a really bright little torch that you can use just around the house or when you're out and about. Now, there's all sorts of different mounts that Shredlights sell, so you can actually attach this helmet light also to your handlebars on a bike or on an electric scooter or anything like that. It's got sticky mounts, it's got clip mounts, so you can really mount it anywhere that you want or need. You don't have to just keep it on your helmet. So in conclusion, honestly, this is one of those products that I've used for years and I'll continue to use for years into the future, just because it's just a great product. Like, it does what you want it to do, it does what you need it to do, it's good quality, they're reliable, and if you're into electric skateboards, then it's just a huge upgrade in terms of personal safety. And the thing is, these are kind of just the industry standard when it comes to electric skateboard lights. I know other brands do sell some lights, but I've just never seen any that are as good and as bright and reliable as the Shredlights themselves. So let me know in the comments, do you use Shredlights? Have you had any hairy experiences at night while riding your electric skateboard? If you're interested in more eSkate content, then check out this video here where I answer the most commonly asked questions I get about my electric skateboards. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.